if we're using the modern in the sense in trying to how it's loosely used to refer to a certain kind of lifestyle, like they live a modern way of life, which is, uh, in other words, simply put, they live in a, how can I put it, like in the whiter, like the way that we the affluent way of life. I think, yeah, maybe if you look at that in that way, because at the end of the day, what now it comes back to what we said earlier about how skin color was used as a determining factor of your socioeconomic status. So big, if you're lighter skinned, that means that you are assumed to belong to a certain, to an upper class, and that means that you are supposed, in your way, in the way that you conduct yourself, you're now perceived to be affluent, and you're perceived to be modern in a way, in that regard, or more civilized in a way, just because of that. So I think if we were to put it that way, maybe, and I think more so, particularly with women, the standards that we have in society for women, because there's a lot more pressure that for beauty standards for women than they are for men, uh, because of how, uh, we have, because of the sexual objectification of women, because of the gender objectification of women, and because of, our how can I don't know, loosely putting it, how we women, the lives tend to, we structure their society is constructed in a way where the success sometimes is measured on the basis of how much the appreciation they get from, or permission acknowledgement from it. So I guess when you're now looking at all these other dynamics coming into play, yes, maybe we can loosely talk about it, as yeah, like sort of a modern way of. But I guess I also have to acknowledge now that we are now, the good thing is we are now seeing a wave of people who are standing out, being black and bold, and for the first time we are seeing more darker people making it in Hollywood, because the media again is the one, also plays a role in influencing, people in what is modern, yeah, like what is acceptable, and what is the in thing. So you're not seeing that nowadays, we're not seeing more people with, more darker skinned people in sets of movies and commercials. You're now seeing people with Africa, with keeping their hair natural and all that. So I guess, yes, there's also, we are also seeing that the element where the people are trying to change the narrative. So I guess we also have to acknowledge that, in the conversation.
Having had a friend who uses the skin lightening products, yes, have you ever felt like you wanted to one time use them? Because I mean, your friend is using them, and yeah, she's looking good, like we say in the modern.
I think the kind of bleach they used was perfect because the color really turned out like so good, and that small feeling like I should also do it. The smallest bit that raised in me got like an attack for it because I was like, yes, she has looked good for this. But it does not change anything. You're African, you're this, you're yourself. You do not want to look like so and so, you do not want to look like, I felt like I should appreciate what I am.
Now for you, you've gotten like into the different settings, and I think you can now give us a rich opinion. When you go for a job and someone who is light skinned goes for a job, don't you think both in India and in Uganda there's some element of discrimination basing on skin color?
Yes, 100% there is.
There is.
100% there is. There is this certain job you're going to apply for, and you look at the factors they want, or you look at the people who are already in that business, and actually your skin color totally makes you lose your esteem. You know, that morale in you to go and actually work with a certain group, a certain, company or whatever kind of job it is. People want to, okay, you're going to go to a company or an advertising company, but what they want, for example, models, there are models who are actually in your skin color and they are very good. But there is somewhere where someone wants, or someone has looked at their role model or the best model, and they are not in their same color, and they're like, how am I going to do it when I'm not in that color? And someone is actually going to change their skin color to shoot that, to go and apply or go and join. And there is this person who's not going to bleach and be like, let me just leave it, and actually lose the opportunity because they cannot go, because they do not have that self-esteem in them. The former Miss Uganda was not that light-skinned. Miss Awenacho, she was not all that light-skinned, and she was very beautiful.
Yes.
Everyone would appreciate that.
Yes.
But there is somewhere where you will find there is that factor of exposure, factor of, this is why there are some lyric songs that are even running people's minds.
Yes.
And they're like light-skinned girls, and someone is like losing the esteem, losing their morale because of this expression, their complexion.
Yeah.
And someone is going astray because of their skin color.
Keep our faces to the sun when it's hard to see.
So what do you think is the color to be lighter? What do you think is the core motivating factor?
Social media.
Social media. Okay, social media. Yes, please.
The media. Because I get so many people come telling me, oh, I want to look like Beyonce. Oh, I want to look like Kim. Oh, I want to look like Zari. So they have that figure, the celebrity figure of saying, okay, now I have to look like so and so. It's because they are light skinned and they were once darker than their current tone. So they have this belief that when I look like this one, maybe I'll look hot or I'll look different, or people will look at me in this different perspective.
This world will survive.
The beauty standards that came with colonialism, for example, because when you look at and when you read some of the definition of, like for example, the Britannica definition of a Negro, where they describe a black person, and when you look at the perception of a black person during slavery, colonialism, and all this time, you notice that being black stopped being just a skin color, but it came with socio-economic status. It came, like if you look at apartheid, how they structured it. Certain people of a certain color belong to a certain part of the society. And so, like in every society, the elite people, the privileged people, they're the ones who influence the beauty standards because everyone aspires to be like them. Everyone aspires to look like them. Everyone aspires to have the same standard of living as them. So that issue then might, because of colonialism and the structure that was there in the racial hierarchy that had been put in, resulted in black people internalizing whiteness, fairer skin as the standards for beauty. So I guess that's where colorism now started coming up, because when you I think even up to now, when people talk about someone as fairer skin, they say, well, the assumption is they're privileged in a way, and even people even say that, oh, now you're making a lot of money, you can see that your skin is becoming fairer or something like that. So even that, so the skin tone was now used again as a way of showing the socioeconomic class of a person, and if you to now it's up to date. So it's some of these things that were internalized, the inferiorities that we internalized in trying to aspire to be like that. Then capitalism came in and it started sort of riding on that, because what happens is, when people are making these products, they want to make a profit, and so they profit on trying on selling a lifestyle. They profit on selling beauty standards. So you'd find that a lot of these products, they thrive because of the beauty standards that they portray of what women should look like. So as a result, these skin bleaching and skin lightening creams end up having a market, because people want to look like that person. They want to reach that state of beauty, that is admirable and that is socially expected. And they also want to escape the social misery and the stigma that's associated with being dark. And I think another perfect example that can really illustrate the whole issue about beauty standards is the issue, like for example, the issue of African hair and the link with it with colonialism, where you notice that in a lot of like institutions, if you remember the protests that happened in South Africa, or even some of the schools in Zimbabwe, the multiracial schools, you'd find that black hair, afro, there's a lot of stigma that comes with keeping your hair as a black person, and with that has pushed women to straighten their hair. It's like it was more acceptable for women, for black women, to straighten their hair than to maintain their afros. So all these are some of the beauty standards that really are rooted in the societal standards that we adopted over time, and that were influenced by colonialism, that are influenced by the social structures, the racial social structures, and now colorism and other aspects. Yeah.
It's us who will decide how.
One of the things that, let's start with the person who's dark skinned. Society is frowning upon them. They're being termed as ugly. It impacts their confidence. It results in them being anxious around people. So it really affects their mental wellness, because essentially they are being told constantly that they're not good enough, they're not good enough, they're not beautiful enough, they're ugly and all. And internalizing all this affects them even how they interact with other people. It affects their drive. And think about the stress that is also associated with that, with those constant perspective. So which then eventually drives them to start to look for products, to start looking better. In the moment we have that product, what happening is that whole cycle continues, because in a way it starts fueling the same problematic stereotypes, the same problematic issues that we have in society. It starts fueling them by trying to rescue people from that, to make them look lighter in skin. So now there's the then there's the so that's result that exposing them to the physical aspect that you said, the physical harm that of the products. So it really, I think it really has a huge impact on the mental aspect, and also even sometimes in indirectly in applying people themselves, in doing what they do. So sometimes the issue is, the problem might not be, the impact might not be directly on the actual product itself, but the problem is into the whole, like, everything. When you look at it in context, in terms of what's pushing people to use the products, like where that those products fit in, as far as the whole narrative is. I think that's when. So I guess overall I would say it actually does more harm to society, than good long term.
Where I study from, in India,
Yes.
it is accounted so staunch in what they are.
Yes.
They are Indians, they are white, they are that strong. So you find you as a black, you're looking around, and these people are like, these people, okay, you're more of so low to them than what a normal human being. Maybe if you would come like, you're light skinned, you're this outstanding light skinned, and you have your hair and you're looking good, people would not mind what is she an African, is, you know. But because you're black, first impression somehow evicts that factor of hatred. The people, like what people feel towards you, is that he's the other race or she's the other race because she's not light skinned. And this is why people go that step ahead, that hurdle ahead of them, bleach their skin colors because they want to fit in society. Because they cannot get what they want because of what they are. So they have to,
Entice
entice the
the
society,
colors,
you know.